Hello, can you hear me? Hi. So I'm Dr. Courtney Sullivan. I'd like to welcome you to the Apron 2023. It's our 21st annual celebration of student scholarship at Washburn University. Dr. Mazurchek, I found out at 1:30, couldn't make it. She's sorry she can't make it today. But as I said, I'm professor of French and I'm the chair of the Apron committee. And today we've already enjoyed a lot of delightful fine arts performances in the Carroll Chapel, and we've had some really lively scholarly presentations in Henderson. And then we have more to come right after this lecture with the poster session. But before we glean lessons from our distinguished last lecturer, a few thank yous are in order. Supporters in terms of times and fund are on the back of the program. If you could have a minute to look at that. Where the generous donations. And I'd also really like to thank the committee for making this event work so smoothly. And let's not forget the mentors who recognize an intellectual spark in their students, believe in their talents, and encourage them to go further in their research. It's been such a joy today, I know personally, to hear students I've had in class this semester and last semesters share their research and our intellectual work with our fine community. So if you're a mentor or a member of the Apron committee, could you please stand up? Thank you. Thank you for all your fine work. So Apron's a great opportunity for students to showcase their research, scholarship, creative activities, and community engagement in a professional setting similar to the ones they will encounter in their future academic and professional careers. Today we've had over 100 students participating at Apron. In the fine arts session this morning, we heard students performed original music and poetry. They composed themselves, and then this afternoon, students from nearly every department in the College of Arts and Sciences, as well as presenters from the schools of business and applied studies are showcasing their research. And then we also have students from the Leadership Institute and the Center for Community Services. And they're sharing with us today their transformative differences they're making at Washburn and in the wider community in Topeka. Apron is truly a cross-campus event. So students who are here, we're really proud of you. This is a day to celebrate your dedication, excellence, and hard work. And we're here to learn from you today. I'd ask you to lend your ear to our distinguished last lecturer, Dr. Mary Sheldon. Dr. Sheldon, a staunch supporter of international education, has very generously donated her speaking honorarium to the International House Emergency Fund for International Students. And as a commemoration of her participation, her name has been engraved here, and it's going to sit with the House Department, which is English, which I'll hand off to Dr. Melody Burnett. So with that, I'll quickly pass the mic to Rob Kofelt to introduce the student design winners.
Hello, my name's Robert Kofelt. I am the graphic designer here at Washburn and a committee member of Apron. And every year we've been having a contest to see which student would be either a flyer or the cover design, as you see on the covers that you have today. And our two winners, which I hope they're here, is Jonas Faria. If you would come up. Did I pronounce that right? Okay. And this was his entry to the cover. And then our flyer winner was Catherine Jane Steinkühler. And this was her design for the flyer. That got a lot of interest. Back to you. And I'll give it back to Courtney.
Just really quickly, our colleague Vanessa Steinreiter is going to be introducing her dear colleague, Dr. Mary Sheldon.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. You have to get really close here. I don't know. It's kind of a weird. So, Mary, what? You're going to have to. Okay. My name is Vanessa Steinroder. I'm in the English department, and I have the honor of introducing our lecturer, our speaker tonight. And just a little note, so that you don't think that I came up with a lot of this wonderful context that Mary asked me to read out before her talk, but the conscientious instructor that she is, she wanted to provide a little bit of larger context. I mean, don't worry, it's not going to be a really long talk or anything, but you know, she already put some of the words up here. I'm going to have to read out words and names in Swedish, Norwegian, and Icelandic. And so I apologize to anyone who's fluent in those languages. I'm going to try my best. Okay. Using her MA degree in pastoral ministry from Loyola University, New Orleans, Dr. Mary Sheldon volunteered from fall 1984 through spring 1987 as a pastoral minister working in Native American and Shawnee country jail ministries for the Kansas City, Kansas Roman Catholic Archdiocese, as well as in a mission in Guatemala for 3 summers. Using her PhD degree in English from Purdue University, she began teaching at Washburn University in the fall of 1987. She received tenure in 1994 and was promoted to associate professor in 1996. After 33 years of teaching at Washburn, she retired in 2021. In her time at Washburn, Dr. Sheldon taught professional writing courses and served as a consultant and offered workshops in professional writing for regional businesses, government agencies, and health and law enforcement agencies. Dr. Sheldon also developed and regularly taught world literature courses and, with Dr. Tom Schmiedler, world geography and literature in the Master of Liberal Studies program. She received the Ned D. Fleming Award for Excellence in Teaching in 1997. Dr. Sheldon presented numerous papers on Asian literature and Nordic noir at national conferences and served as editorial advisor for the Shambhala Sun and a copy editor for the Journal of Buddhist Ethics and the Journal of Global Buddhism. In recognition of her contributions to multiculturalism, she was invited to join Phi Beta Delta at Washburn University. In spring 2021, she was awarded the title Associate Professor Emeritus in recognition of her distinguished career and dedicated service to Washburn University students, the English department, the College of Arts and Sciences, the university as a whole, and larger communities. Today, Dr. Sheldon will speak on Nordic noir. In relation to literature and film, the English-speaking world associates the term Nordic noir with a crime genre with 5 defining characteristics. 1, a bleak atmosphere dominated by sheets of rain, mist, sleet, or snow. 2, a morose police detective beset with personal issues. 3, a grim murder described in realistic detail. 4, a society controlled by the wealthy and powerful who work to hide their corruption. And 5, social justice issues born of drug, sex, or gun trafficking, racism, misogyny, immigration, or fallout from the breakup of the Soviet Union. Through her study of this genre, however, Dr. Sheldon notes another key trait, the referencing of biblical images, especially pertaining to Holy Week. Swedish authors Maj Sjöwall and Per Wahlöö set this trait within their Story of Crime series featuring Inspector Martin Beck. This series is credited with giving rise to modern Nordic crime drama. Though Marxist socialists, Sjöwall and Wahlöö present Beck as transversing an environment in which reminders of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection are enacted on the streets of Stockholm. For instance, in The Abominable Man, written in 1971, patrolmen Kvant and Christiansson, quote, lay in the form of a cross on the spruce branches, one of them unconscious and the other one dead, end of quote. Similar imagery intertwines through Swedish author Henning Mankell's Inspector Kurt Wallander series, Norwegian author Jo Nesba's Inspector Harry Hula series, and I confirm that it is pronounced as hula. That's like my Icelandic author Arnaldur Indridason's Inspector Erlendur Sveinsson series, and televised European crime dramas such as The Team, set in Denmark, Belgium, and Germany. In this, her last lecture, Dr. Sheldon focuses on how the imagery of Holy Week plays out in Hugh Nesba's Hari Hula series to encourage us to add a sixth defining characteristic to our definition of Nordic noir, the referencing of biblical imagery, especially pertaining to Holy Week. I'm looking forward to your talk, Mary.
Okay, a special thank you to Dr. Courtney Sullivan, who thought to ask me if I would do this, giving me a chance to show off some of my research since retiring. And Dr. Vanessa Steinroder, who was kind enough to write the introduction and then read the part I wrote on Nordic noir, even though it had to go through several languages in there to get out. Okay, I too need to apologize to any native Norwegian speakers as I give this talk. I'm going to read this in the interest of not rambling. Why Påska Cream? Reflections on the spiritual core of Hugh Nesba's Nordic noir. Påska Cream. Where does this Norwegian term originate? Derived from the Aramaic pashka and the Greek and Latin pashka, as referenced in the New Testament, Påska is a Norwegian term for Resurrection Sunday, the English Easter. Cream is a shortened Norwegian term for the crime novel, especially the Northern European crime genre termed Nordic noir in English-speaking countries. So how did Påska become fused to cream? To publicize a 1923 crime novel by authors Nordahl Grieg and Niels Lie, a Palm Sunday front-page advertisement in Oslo's Aftenposten prominently featured the novel's title, The Train to Bergen Plundered Last Night, as a headline, followed by an excerpt from the text. Early morning readers panicked while preparing for Påska services. The Oslo to Bergen line had been robbed. Widespread coverage of the stunt followed, and sales of the train to Bergen skyrocketed. Thus Påska Cream was born, the tradition of reading crime novels during the long Norwegian Easter holiday, inclusive of Holy Week. Research demonstrates that when journalists and literary critics explore the term Påska Cream, they are satisfied with recounting the history of its origin. Yet in 2023, the 100th anniversary of Påska Cream, is it not time to honor the term Påska Cream with a deeper significance than the humorous Aftenposten story affords? From a literary perspective, analysis of the text of Påska Cream reveals how biblical imagery, especially imagery of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection, is embedded within a larger segment of Nordic noir. Such imagery jars readers into the recognition of how we stand in our own time in relation to the paschal drama which continues to play out across a crime-ridden globe, and it challenges readers to explore crime and society's response to it from a spiritual perspective. Such imagery also coincides with the imagery in Latin American literature, which urges readers to explore Christ's relationship with the poor in their own time, as argued by theologians like Peruvian Father Gustavo Gutierrez. To acknowledge and explore the spiritual purpose within Nordic noir, we should add a sixth defining characteristic to it, the referencing of biblical imagery, especially associated with Holy Week. To build a case for this addition, let's explore the spiritual core of Norwegian author Hugh Nesba's universally acclaimed Inspector Hari Hula series. Opening the 12-novel Hari Hula series, The Bat, which came out in 1997, introduces Hari Hula as a police inspector haunted by sins stemming from alcoholism, sins which will continue to haunt him through the series, such as a failed relationship with a woman who later committed suicide, and more significantly, the death of a patrolman during a police chase in which Hari Hula was driving drunk. Having viewed the scene of the fatal accident through a train window years prior, Rocky Fakya, Hari's life partner through the series, points to a crossroad while Hari is driving her to work during their first meeting in the third novel of the series, The Redbreast. It was harrowing, she recalls. A policeman was still hanging from the fence post like one crucified. While he avoids verbally responding to Rocky's memory, Hari has long since internalized that very scene and its significance. Moreover, in vivid contrast with the cozy mystery genre, inspectors operating within Nordic noir will inevitably come to bear scars from a Calvary or two of their own, as Hari Hula words it, for they will risk, like civilization itself, being cast into chaos, hurled into the deepest night, through contact with shocking crime scenes, life-threatening struggles, and fears for loved ones. Nightmares such as of a nail protruding from a man's head will plague Hari as addiction and investigations take their toll. There is one of the lost souls Jesus wants to redeem, a passing stranger will comment as Hari staggers down the street in the Devil's Star, just before he smashes his head into an inset Star of Bethlehem on a circular church door window in his attempt to interview a fleeing witness whom he believes has evidence in the beating death of his colleague and friend, Alan Yelton. Soon after, high on the hallucinogens he hopes will cause a pattern to emerge in the unsolved serial murders of 3 women, Hari will knock himself unconscious while banging his head in frustration against the cross hanging over his bed. As a Thai colleague confesses in an earlier novel, we all have our crosses to bear, her own father having carried the world on his shoulders. In Hari Hula's case, however, his absolute acceptance of the cross he bears will be his salvation, for it will fuse him through addiction and sobriety to a higher purpose which the crucifixion symbolizes in Nordic noir. Rather than seeking personal absolution or forgiveness for his responsibility in a woman's suicide and a colleague's death, he will relentlessly struggle to bring about the temporary physical redemption one human being can bring another. As a police inspector, Hari will be driven to prevent real and metaphoric crucifixions and reach out to those who suffer from and witness them, even to perpetrators who may be driven by their own traumatic pasts. A passage from Selma Lagerlof's Christ's Legends serves as an epigraph to Nesbø's The Redbreast. In this epigraph, a robin redbreast summons courage and mercifully removes a thorn embedded in the brow of the crucified one. Determined to reach out to those needing redemption from agonizing plights, Hari Hula will emerge as, in effect, Hugh Nesbø's Robin Redbreast, who is consciously motivated by the traumatic crucifixion scene Rocky recalled at a crossroads in Oslo. In the 11th novel of the series, The Thirst, a colleague will again drive Harry past the crossroads where the fatality occurred. The words crossroads, vikris, and forms of to cross, o krisa, related in Norwegian to Christ, Christus, cross, kors, and the crucified one, korsfestet. The young colleague will unwittingly choose this perfect moment to inquire of him, "Did you work at Crime Squad to save lives?" While he will only receive a dodgy response containing a private irony, "What? Let me out at the bar, the first one the victim went to." The reflective reader will intervene with a straightforward affirmation. Yes, Hula did work at Crime Squad to save lives. Unlike in the comfortable world of the cozy mystery genre, the question of determining who deserves redemption in a society racked by injustices can become complex. Yet Hari Hula will shoulder the burden of weighing this question, forming a judgment, and acting in complex circumstances. In The Redeemer, for instance, an ordained minister in the Salvation Army preaches Christ's redemption. Quote, "The message is that he gave his only son who died for our sins," unquote. Yet this minister is also a rapist and murderer. When he's finally cornered and begging for forgiveness, Hari rebukes him. "I'm not in the forgiveness business. Redemption, Jan. Redemption, that's what I go in for." As the astonished minister looks on, Hari hands a small recovered fortune to a young Croatian assassin, Kristo Stankic, nicknamed the Little Redeemer for his courageous actions during the wars in the Balkans and his more recent hits on a convicted French pedophile and Serbian nationalists acquitted of war crimes. Then Hari turns and abruptly leaves the room, while Stankic, holding a gun, completes his final mission. By this act, Harry redeems Salvationist Martina Eckhoff from having to work alongside her childhood rapist. He redeems 15-year-old immigrant Sofia Miholic from her fears that her serial rapist will attack her and other young girls again. And he redeems displaced Croatian refugees seeking funds to rebuild their home in Vukovar, Croatia. He also redeems the Salvation Army from participating in the trial of a minister who had murdered his brother, another minister whose color print of Jesus crowned with thorns had moved Hari when he had entered his flat. In a more self-centered way, Hari admits in a half-truth that he redeems Beata Lon, the wife of his murdered colleague Birgin Holman, and himself from the nightmare of the murderer's possible acquittal or early release. "I didn't do it for your redemption, Beata. I did it for mine." Thus, readers are forced to ponder the complexity of redemption within Nesba's Posha cream. As Maria Stankic, Kristo Stankic's mother, sums up, "In a world shattered by violence, unorthodox decisions are inevitable, even necessary for the survival of human dignity." As I sit below a crucifix in St. Stephen's Cathedral in Zagreb, Croatia, Maria forces Hari Hula to kneel and swear by the Son of God, your Redeemer, to keep her son safe in exchange for the information he desires. Then she brings a hard truth to consciousness. You've discovered that guilt is not as black and white as you thought. when you decided to become a policeman and redeem humankind from evil? While Hari Hula confesses to Maria Stankic, as to many others, that he doesn't believe in God, his repression of critically chosen realities is a significant aspect of his character throughout the series. If you invite me back, I'll give you that paper. That's a separate paper. By repressing a belief in God, Hari eases his ability to navigate what he terms the moral paradoxes that fill our days while removing thorns embedded in the brow of the crucified one. In actuality, Hari does believe in God, and that belief stems from a deeply instilled faith tradition that thrives in his unconscious. When Hari returns to Oslo from Zagreb, the candle from St. Stephen's Cathedral merges in his memory with the candles he viewed as a child at his mother's funeral. Throughout the series, Hari experiences flashbacks from his childhood in Åndalsny, a small town in Romsdalen Valley, from where he had been instructed that God had started when he was creating the world. Within the faith-bound community of Åndalsny, Hari's parents had intuited God's purpose for their son when they had observed him confronting bullies, regardless of the victim, regardless of how much he bled. On his deathbed, Olav, Hari's father, admits to his son, "I didn't think I could tell you at the time. It would only have been asking for more fights, but I was so proud of you, I could have wept. Hari, you were scared of the dark, but that didn't stop you from going there." On her deathbed many years prior, Hari's mother also focused on her son's natural inclination to remove a thorn embedded in the brow of the crucified one. While the child Hari sat alongside her, she recited the specifically chosen hymn, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God," night after night. Among the lines she embedded within him with her last breath are these: "Did we in our own strength confide, our striving would be losing, were not the right man by our side, the man of God's own choosing." Certainly, she hoped that these whispered lines would reinforce her son's purpose on this earth, as well as guide his spiritual understanding. And in a grace-filled moment, she surely intuited how they foreshadowed the hope that so many would place in her son as he continued to battle the mortal ills and devils which threatened to undo so many people's lives. "Someone made you good," a fellow inspector correctly surmises in The Leopard. Strangers respond to Hari Hula's goodness as he's being crucified. In The Snowman, just as Hari is found dangling over a ski slope with a serial murderer, both Hari's arms stretched out vertically as if he were being crucified sidewise. A young father in a nearby location suddenly and miraculously embraces the son his wife had been murdered for conceiving outside of marriage, the son whom Hari had earlier pled with him to accept after her death. In The Leopard, just after Hari tears open his cheek on a nail protruding 2 inches from the wall to release a metal ball forced into his mouth in Goma, Congo, Kinshasa, a death device only a devil could have devised, he is himself redeemed through the aid of a stranger who risks his own life to save Hari, a man he instantly recognizes as on the side of the angels in this hell. Strangers and acquaintances respond to Hari's goodness even after they have been crucified. In The Phantom, Hari releases a cowering young woman drugged and bound for months to a shackle attached to a chain that led up to the ceiling, where it was nailed to a beam. Sensitive to Irena Hansen's trauma, he refrains from laying his hand on her shoulder in comfort, but then he felt it, her hand on top of his. In The Thirst, Hari sits quietly apart, afraid of further traumatizing young Aurora Anna as she pleads for protection for her father and recounts the rape that she endured on Harry's wedding day 3 years previous. Yet suddenly he observes Aurora looking out, not in, just before she rises and gratefully wraps her arms around him. Lines from the American Southern Gospel hymn, Farther Along, aid Harry in solving his wife's murder in Knife. For the discerning reader, they blend with other of this hymn's lines to underscore Hari's awareness of the promised final victory his every triumph foreshadows. Often I wonder why I must journey over a road so rugged and steep, while there are others living in comfort, while with the lost I labor and weep. When we see Jesus coming in glory, when he comes from his home in the sky, then we shall meet him, and in that bright mansion, we'll understand it all by and by. Throughout the series, the criminal element profanes religious imagery. In Phantom, Serbian and Russian criminal gangs carry switchblades inlaid with the Orthodox cross and symbolize personal histories with Christian tattoos, such as the Virgin Mary to mark a life of crime extending from childhood, church cupolas to mark the number of convictions, and angels to mark the number of murders, all while selling drugs that consume the soul and send the buyer into dependency's cold, dripping hell. As Hari Hula's humanity is underscored through imagery of the Passion and Crucifixion, the criminal element's profanity is marked by such imagery in their torture and murder of others. In Phantom, inspectors discover the bodies of a policeman and a pilot who trafficked in drugs, each with an ear nailed to the floor before a nail-studded brick had slammed into their faces. Police opens with a 15-year-old girl attached to the wall by 2 big nails, and closes with another young girl attached to a pipe so that the body would be displayed like the crucifixion. While these literal crucifixions exist in the series, every act of violence is in effect a metaphoric crucifixion, as Hari and other inspectors acknowledge. Worn down by decades of confrontation with violence, a desperate Harry in Knife, the 12th novel of the series, uses the metaphor of the cross as he considers pinning his wife's murder on any sinner who could and should be hung on the cross. Then, with more sinister intention, the disturbed inspector, Kaya Solness, vows to crucify the real Jesus so he can take on my suffering the way we did with Jesus Christ. Perhaps she has Hari in mind for having disappointed her in love, as we may discover in the 13th forthcoming novel in June 2023, Killing Moon. That's an advertisement. Yekibarg Ridge is a vantage point for Edvard Munch's The Scream, a painting depicting a kind of Calvary which can't help but overcome any viewer's calm, as a screaming figure in a distorted setting symbolizes events of the last centuries. Early in his career, Inspector Hari Hula gazes up at Yekibarg Ridge through his office window, and he converses there with trusted colleagues. In the winter, he can barely see the outline of Ekeberg Ridge through a snow shower, but he knows it's there. For Ekeberg, he reflects in a revision of the Gloria Patri, had always been there and always would be. It couldn't be shifted. It was a fact. Over the course of the series, Hari encounters screams from Calvaries so overwhelming that he self-exiles and even changes careers, especially to protect loved ones. Yet the screams from new Calvaries continuously draw him back to his purpose, to removing a thorn embedded in the brow of the crucified one of the moment. He too has always been there and always will be, so I adjust his self-deprecating parody of the doxology in The Devil's Star. Sydney, Australia, inspectors who cannot pronounce hula, and they wonder if it's hole or what, address the Norwegian inspector as Mr. Holy throughout the bat. But like colleagues and criminals in Oslo who continuously refer to his crime scene procedural as the gospel according to hula, they fail to appreciate the spiritual insight within the humor. So Rocky Fakya, his life partner through Knife, fails to appreciate how and why the cross she wears, inherited from her deeply religious mother, speaks more eloquently to Hari than her pleas that he spend more leisure time with family, or as traumatic events directly endanger her and her son in a new profession. Yet reflective readers of Yu Nesba's Hari Hula series do understand the wisdom behind Mr. Holy and the gospel according to hula. They understand that he will always stay true to the purpose deeply embedded within him. Moreover, they understand why the word Poshka cream will always be a better term than cream for Yu Nesba's Hari Hula series and other Nordic noir. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Seems like, at least in one case, notably, the notion of redemption being connected with killing. We've got an architecture that is taken directly from spirituality, from Christian passion, but meanings in the present that are completely different. Do you see this as metaphor or as practice, I guess?
Or as?
Or as actual practice?
I think of it as actual practice. Yeah, maybe metaphor and actual practice. Yeah, I think that, well, I'm coming from being steeped in liberation theology in Latin American literature. And there you have theologians directly stating that literature extends the gospel for the modern day and in situations that aren't explicitly written about in parables and various stories. And so how I feel that's how it progresses. Yes.
This is a really general question, but it strikes me that Norway is one of the most secular countries on earth, right? And so I'm curious about, why so much Christian imagery, so much really specifically Christian imagery invested in this character. And not to challenge that, but just to question, what is going on with that representation? Why make him a Christ figure in a nation that is overwhelmingly secular?
I think because maybe you could say that about Europe in general. But I think that regardless of whether people go to church every Sunday and profess verbally to being Christian or believing in God, as Harry has difficulty doing, but I think that maybe people who are born in a certain tradition, a tradition which celebrates Poshka cream, you know, chooses to do that and gives you a whole week off for Easter, Ash Wednesday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Monday, those are all off, so you can spend time with family. So I think things are happening in the culture like that in general that speak to a larger reality. Perhaps it's not only Hari Hula who has moved this to his unconscious, but even if it's in the unconscious, it exists and it guides our life decisions and choices. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't use the word haunting, personally. Well, I'd say revealing. So if some of you are not readers and you'd like to watch a good film, you might get a hold of the team. Yeah, Vanessa's going to hold that up. Season 1, it's set in Denmark, Germany, and Belgium. Well, detectives are in Europol from those 3 countries, and it extends into Switzerland. But if you think about this talk and watch that season 1, I mean, you're going to see, you'll never hear the word Jesus Christ. You'll never hear the word cross. But you're going to see dozens of crucifixes at crucial moments throughout that film. And that again, we won't mention it. You know, we're not going to say the words and talk about it. But we'll definitely show you. And so there, it's the unconscious. It comes through the unconscious again. And then other Nordic noir films, you'll see the same thing.
A huge Kurt Wallander fan.
Oh, yes.
So I always know after I've watched one on PBS or any of the DVDs I have that I'm going to dream very vividly. I'm a bit traumatized always I love reading books.
Yeah, you can relate the scene in The Dogs of Riga, where Kurt Wallander first meets Baba, his love interest, the widow of a Latvian police detective, and they first meet in a church. It's very similar to this scene where Hari Hula meets also in an Eastern European church with Maria Stankic. Yeah.
Are you Norwegian?
No. Though I'm working on it. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again, and please join us now. We've got our students representing their posters, and then they should be setting the Caribbean banquet outside, so please stick around. Thank you.